Hey everybody, welcome. Happy Monday. I'm real excited to be here with you today. I just have to double check that my feed is coming in all right. Yep, it is. Okay, so now I'm going to quit this. All right. How are you guys? I hope you had a great weekend. Happy Monday. It is a beautiful sunny day here on the East Coast of the United States. Where are you guys from? I know where one of you is from. Ahmed, where are you from? Peter, good to see you. Yeah, check in. Say hi, everybody. Anyone who's here hanging out, say hi. I'm excited to be with you today because I'm going to be sharing some really, really cool content. And as some of you know who've been hanging out with me live recently, is I am planning on going live like 3 or 4 times a week for the next 30 days at least. Oops, got to mute this. And hold on a second. All right, cool. I just got another member to the guild. That's what that ding was. Filled a slot to the Brand Design Masters Guild. Very psyched. There is 1 slot left. 1 shot. And so, all right. Ahmed, good. 3D Live Design. Hey. All right, Exploding Haggis is here. Good to see you, Daniel. Frank. Amsterdam, one of my favorite places. Kyle Kasner. Kyle, how you doing, man? It's good to see you. Long time no see. Kyle is an amazing designer from out California way. And good to see you guys. All right, so that said, let's jump in and talk about content a little bit. One thing is if you have a question while I'm going along, please type question in all caps in chat. So if I see question coming in all caps in chat, it'll draw my attention to it. And then if I have to scroll back and look for questions, I'm not going to miss your question. So do that. I'll try to capture your questions while I go along. But sometimes when I just get focused and looking at the camera, I don't see them come in. So type question in all caps before you question. I'm actually going to make that a little smaller, and I'm just going to keep that up there today. All right, let's do this. I'm going to bring up some slides. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is we are going to talk about content development. We're going to talk about how do you come up with ideas for your content. Do you have a blog? Do you do a YouTube channel? Do you post videos on Vimeo? Do you have a vlog that you put on your website? Do you write articles for LinkedIn? What kind of content do you produce? If you produce any, maybe you just have a blog right on your website. If you do, I am sure if you're developing any kind of content on any kind of regular basis, I'm sure that you have come up to the point where you say to yourself, I'm coming up dry. Like, I don't know what I got. I don't have any ideas. Nothing is coming to me this week. And so what I want to do with you today is I have been developing content now for about 6 years. I put out a newsletter every 2 weeks for 6 years. I put out a video every Monday for 5.5 years. And I've been going live on top of that. And so I know that sometimes you just come up a little dry. And so I developed a system very early on about how to capture ideas for my content. So I would never be at a loss for an idea. And so what I want to share with you is some of my techniques and also some other ideas I've heard about I haven't necessarily had to use yet about getting ideas for content. Does that sound good? All right. How many people in chat right now do any kind of content? There's a number of you watching right now. How do you blog? Do you vlog? Do you write articles? Do you just tweet? Like, how do you come up with, number one, do you come up with content or do you have to? And number two, where do you do it? I'd love you all to just kind of like check in and share with each other where it is that you do stuff, because that'll help me also kind of focus what I'm going to be talking about today. All right, so that said, let's jump right into it. What do you say? Very little. Kyle, then you need some ideas. I'm going to give you some ideas. All right, the first thing is kind of weird for creatives. And that is, don't fear the spreadsheet. Here, I'm going to move this back. Sorry. Don't fear the spreadsheet. And the reason why I say that is because one of the methods that I used very early on is I started a Google Sheet. I keep that sheet open on my browser all the time. It is in my launch pages and it's always up. The reason why I do that, I have a spreadsheet, is because whenever I come across a content idea, a link, some just thought bubble pops into my head, I will, or I have to, grab a graphic or an infographic or something offline and throw it in a folder. What I do is I make a note of what that content topic idea is, and I throw it in that Google Sheet. And I just keep a running Google Sheet. And my Google Sheet right now is open in my browser, and it's probably got 400 things on it. And so I am a voracious collector of ideas because I come across things that are interesting to me all the time. Sometimes I can't even dive into them to read through them completely, but I know that it's interesting and I will capture that and put it in a sheet. So, Google's and spreadsheets and Excel spreadsheets are totally old school in terms of list building. Maybe you use Google Keep, maybe use Asana, maybe use some other tool, but have that thing open all the time, because that way you can capture whatever it is that you need to capture wherever you are in the day, and it just takes a second to grab it, put it in there, and then you can move on. But have something open all the time where you capture ideas, because I know that you come up with some thought bubble, something happens, and you say, wow, that would make a great blog post, and then an email comes in or a notification pops up, and suddenly it's gone, right? So don't fear the spreadsheet. Have that thing open. And write that you-know-what down. I don't want to swear because I try not to swear much on this because, YouTube has these algorithms that they comb through all of your audio. They can tell if you're swearing, and then they will flag you and demonetize your video. It's terrible. It's like the AI is watching us all the time. So have that spreadsheet open and write it down. Whenever you come across an idea, however weird or tangential that it is, put it down, okay? What kind of camera and lens am I using? Daniel, I am using my Canon 80D, and I'm using the kit lens on it, and the kit lens is I think 18 to 55 millimeter lens, and I just have it set on about 24 millimeters. So, and it's just plugged in USB right into my computer. I use the Canon EOS web cam utility, which helps it read the camera, and so I just changed to that. Thank you for noticing, Daniel. I just changed over to the DSLR for my webcam rather than my old webcam. I also moved my office around, as you can tell. You can see a little bit more of my studio now. And so I did that for you guys. So going live and doing my YouTube videos, I could have more scenes or setups in my space. So that's new. Okay, so write it down. The next is create theme categories. And what I mean by theme categories are, I have a tendency to do content on the same things, right? So I do it on design, digital entrepreneurship, marketing, trend. There are certain themes that I do content on. And so when I create and capture my content spreadsheet, I have a series of themes or buckets that I put them into. And so when I keep those buckets in mind, and my buckets are branding, design, entrepreneurship, inspiration, trend, content creation, education, career guidance, productivity, and marketing and business skills. And so I've got a number of themes. And so whenever I come up with an idea for content, I will put it into one of those bucketed themes, because that way, as you do it over time, you start to think about your themes. So when you come across content or an idea or something that inspires you, you immediately think of what the theme that falls into, and then you can categorize it. And it keeps you watching out for inspiration for content that are within the kind of topics that you do content on. So create themes and then try to think about, as you gather content, what theme that content fits into. All right, now, it's not advancing. 1 second. Inspiration versus stealing. There's a great quote by the fine artist Picasso who said, "Mediocre artists copy, great artists steal." Now, there are very few, minuscule number of absolutely original ideas out there, whether that's in design or whether it's in content. So the perspective that you have to take is that you're looking to be inspired. And so instead, I'm not advocating for stealing or plagiarizing in any way. But when you are out there reading blogs, looking on websites, being inspired, coming across things that people send you, looking your feeds on Facebook or LinkedIn, and you find something that's inspiring, have your antenna up about that. So grab that link and think about the topic that that person was writing on or doing the video on, and be inspired by it. You can take that content, you can do your take on it. So don't feel like you have to be absolutely original. There is no absolutely original. You can be inspired by something else and do your version of it. And here's why you can do that. For instance, I may see an article on new techniques on LinkedIn, and they may list 3 or 4 of them. And I've been paying attention to LinkedIn recently, and I've seen some new techniques and been using some new techniques and posting on LinkedIn. So I might take that theme and express my opinion on the 2 or 3 that they mentioned, and then also add on a couple that I think are interesting. But here's the thing. I'm not plagiarizing. I'm taking the theme and doing my point of view on it, because my point of view is unique. Your point of view is unique. Any topic that I mention or I do a blog post on, I bet if you took it and read it, you might have a different opinion about it. You might have a different take on it. That take is valuable. That take is valuable to your audience. So think about what your point of view is on a particular topic or theme. You want to try to be inspired by anything. I am inspired by an old billboard in New York City. I'm inspired by a smashed Coke can on the street. I get inspiration everywhere, from music, from things I see, from nature, not just from the interwebs and design and marketing. You have to be really, really open. Anything you hear, a snippet of conversation at Starbucks, whatever it is that inspires you, think about your take on it. Whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever you read. Also, it's not necessarily always the things that you're excited about. It could be something that you really bristle against, or that you really kind of don't like or hate, right? Or, think is bad for the industry, or, not being done well by people. You can also take the contrary. Rather than championing things, you can critique things. You can, vehemently come out with an opinion that's contrary to public opinion, possibly. And to take disparate ideas and mash them up. For instance, what if you saw an article on someone who was talking about Clubhouse, and they were talking about how fantastic Clubhouse was? What if you aren't so keen on Clubhouse, or you think Clubhouse is okay, but there's some things about it that really bug you? That's a great idea for content. You're taking 2 ideas, what you don't particularly like about something, and then some theme or some inspiration that you got, and mashing up those ideas. Conferences, which none of us can go to right now, are gold mines. So even if you're not going to conferences, digital conferences or digital seminars can be a source of inspiration for content, for blogging or vlogging or doing content. If you go onto the website of a conference and look at the speakers who are going to be speaking, and look at all the topics of what they're going to be speaking on, that alone can be a source of inspiration for content. There are lots of times there's a paragraph or 2 description of what that presentation is going to be about. That can be a great kind of a springboard for content ideas for you, because you realize that those people are speaking at a conference and they have chosen a topic that they're going to be sharing about. They've put a lot of time and energy into thinking what a good topic would be for their audience, and what's going to engage people, and what's going to elevate them as thought leaders. So if you are paying attention to what they are writing and speaking and giving presentations about, you can use that to inspire yourself and to guide you. So digital conferences are a gold mine. Physical conferences are too, for you to go listen to as many speakers as possible and take that in as inspiration. I'm also going to, you guys hang in there with me, because I am going to give you 12 different types of content that you can do. When we come to the end of this little bit of the slideshow, I'm going to give you 12 solid methods of developing content. Okay, so hang with me. Trend is your friend. Nothing stays the same. Nothing is static in business. Things become more popular. They become less popular. Things become super, kind of trendy. Clubhouse, for instance. I know I'm on a Clubhouse kick today. But so things come in and out of vogue. And when I say trend is your friend, it is because there's a reason why people write about trendy things. That's because people are searching for that thing. For instance, Apple just is now coming out with Apple Silicon, right? So Apple CPUs, both in the new iMac, new laptops. Apple Silicon is the thing, the new thing. It's very trendy. So people are doing a lot of videos and articles and blogs and vlogs on Apple Silicon, because it's a major shift in the tech industry. A lot of design people and creative professionals are talking about it. So a lot of people are paying attention to that trend, and they're capitalizing on it. They're doing their own version and expressing their own point of view around Apple's new chip. And so by piggybacking on that trend, they are leveraging the search volume that's going on about that topic, right? And they are staying current and timely in the content that they are producing. So think about trend and how you can piggyback on it, or how you can bring your own point of view to it. Think about your peers and your competition, but you can also think of it in terms of co-opetition, which is cooperating with other content producers. And one of the ways you can do this is that if you are talking to other content producers and interviewing them. So if you do a blog, you can do a written interview of another content producer. That content producer could do an interview of you. You both get a bit of content out of it, and you've cooperated with each other to be the subject matter for each other's content. People do this with podcasts, obviously. They do it in blogs. And so think about how your network, people who produce content that you know, and how you might cooperate with them to either ideate or leverage each other to develop content. Okay? Hold on a second. One thing I want you to keep in mind is that ideation, like creativity, is a muscle. You have to use it. You have to exercise it. And so when you're developing content, the most important thing to do, just like going to the gym, when you go to the gym or decide you're going to start working out, you say, I'm going to work out 3 days a week for an hour every time, right? You make a commitment, you set a schedule, and then you hit that, because if you don't, you're not going to get the benefits of doing it. It's the same thing with content. You have to make a commitment. I'm going to post a blog post every week, 2 times a week, every day, whatever that is. You make the commitment, you set the schedule, and then you do it. And in doing that, you are going to hit the content idea wall, I guarantee you. And that's why what I'm sharing with you today is so important. But you have to do it constantly. And the more you do it, the more you struggle with that content wall, the more you get over that, the more you kind of build that muscle of creativity. Ideation, just like that, and coming up with content ideas is a muscle. So it's just like developing content is a muscle, just like working out is about your muscles, right? Walking, riding a bike, you have to develop stamina. And so ideation is the same way. Coming up with creative ideas or blog ideas, you have to continually do it and have it on the top of your radar all the time, and you will get better at it, and it will become easier for you. Okay. You have to make a commitment. I just talked about that. I jumped ahead a little bit in my own head, but yes, you have to make a commitment when you're doing content, and you have to make a commitment when you're developing ideas for content. So by making the content commitment, you're also setting yourself up for having to be productive when it comes to developing ideas. So by making that commitment, it will, by necessity, force you to start exercising that ideation muscle. All right, now I said that I was going to tell you 12 things that you can use and develop content around, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about right now. Sorry, I got to move a little something around. Okay, number one, case studies. These can be a case study of a company. Most of you are creative pros, right? So it could be a case study of a company that's just redone on its identity, a company's new marketing or advertising campaign, a company's new website, doing a case study on a particular project from someone else. It could be a case study of your own client and something you developed for them, in which case you should probably get permission to publish that just because you don't want to upset them. But doing a case study format of a review of some sort of a creative product that some company or individual is putting out into the world, and doing a study of why they did it, how they executed it, and how well it was executed. So case studies are a really great type of content. All right. The next one is teach something. I know you know something. Even if you're in high school, if you're right out of college, you know things that people 2 or 3 years behind you don't. And one of the best ways you can, create content is by teaching. Almost everything I do in terms of content is teaching. It's teaching everything that I've known throughout my entire career and giving it away to you guys for free. So you can work with your clients better, you can make more money, you can be successful in your businesses and successful in your careers. So think about teaching. Think about the processes in your industry. If you're a creative, think about the creative brief, about mood boards, about developing design, about working with clients, about communication, about presentations. There are a million different things that you do in your day-to-day as a business person or creative that you can teach others about how you do it, what works for you, what doesn't. For every number of roles, that every role there is in the creative profession, there is teaching around that. So no matter what it is that you do, there is teaching that you can do within that. You can also teach the tools or the applications that you use. So not only what it is that you develop, but how you go about developing it. Okay? Now, number 3 is reporting. My dad was a newspaper editor, and so I came from a journalistic family. And so I'm used to the idea of publication and news. And a lot of creative people and content people don't think about news or reporting as a way of developing content, but you can really use it that way. You can think of yourself as a reporter. What is going on out in the world? What are people doing? What are the trends? Who are the movers and shakers? What companies are doing great? What companies are getting beaten? And look at the landscape, the business landscape, the creative landscape, the design landscape as the world, and come at it from the point of view of being a reporter and thinking, I have an audience who doesn't know what I'm seeing. They aren't on the site like I am or as hooked in as I am. How am I going to report out what I'm seeing to them in a way that they can internalize it and make sense of it? Think of yourself as a reporter. So take a conference, for instance, social media marketing world, and go to social media marketing world. Next time you can go to a conference or some other conference, and then create a whole bunch of content around that conference. Report out on the conference. Who was there? What were the presentations like? Where did it take place? What did people do before it? What did people do after it? Interview people. What do they think of it? And act like a reporter. It's a great method. Number 4 is interviews. And as I mentioned earlier in the previous slides, interviews are a really great way to develop content because you don't basically have to come up with the idea of the content. All you have to do is come up with the person who's got a great story or someone you want to learn more about. So having a podcast, interview format podcast is great, but even if you just have a blog, you can do interviews. Even if you just, post on social media, you can ping some influencer or some person that you're interested in, or even, a partner of yours, and ask them a couple questions and get their responses and report out on what they're saying. So doing an audio interview, having it transcribed on rev.com so you get the copy, and then posting that interview on your blog. Interviews are a super, super easy way of developing long form content because interviews are generally really long. There was this guy on LinkedIn, I forget exactly who it was, but he pinged like 15 or 20 creative influencers and he asked them a question. He said, send me 10 sentences on what you think of this topic. And he probably sent it out to 50 people. He probably got 20 responses. And when he got those responses, he just wrote a blog post and quoted 20 influencers on what they thought about this question. It was a brilliant way of going about it. It was killer for SEO because he gets all of these names of these influencers in this one article. And it was great for the influencers themselves because then they're associated with really top flight people. And it's also super interesting to people because they want to know what all of these people think about this one particular issue. Interviews and question asking is a really great way to develop content. All right. Number 5 is business management. Now, this, like my very first slide that said, don't fear the spreadsheet, right? Don't fear business management. And the reason why I say that is because I did a survey of my email list. It was about, 15,000 people at the time, right? And I said, what is the one thing that you are struggling with more than anything? Because I really wanted to find out what people were struggling with and to understand my email list a little bit better. And I got back over 300 responses. And I copied and pasted all the answers into a Google spreadsheet, and I categorized it by what the main topic was of what people were struggling with. And there were about 4 or 5 different topics. I thought it was going to either be design or getting more clients. The number one thing that people were struggling with was time management. I was blown away by that. And then number 2 was getting clients, and number 3 was getting better at designing. But I was blown away by the fact that the one thing that creatives were struggling with most was time management and business skills, financial skills, communication skills, writing, dealing with clients, organizing their time, calendars, project management. Their business stuff that people were struggling with was the thing that was causing them the most pain. And so no matter how you go about your business, you probably have processes or systems that work for you. Maybe they don't work for you. Maybe you're one of those people who is really struggling with it. But the thing is that even if you discover something, even if you're struggling with it, you could report on that. But if you found a solution or something that really works for you, some sort of collection of apps or resources or software as a service that fit you and like keeps your ship running smoothly, then share about that. Talk about how you manage your business. It's that's one of those things too that crosses industries, right? So it's not just creative professionals. Depending on how you run your business, could apply for all sorts of different freelancers or agencies. Okay, so business topics is a gold mine for content. Another absolute gold mine is marketing ideas. And we all have to market ourselves. And as creative pros, many of us are marketers, right? So we have to help our clients with brand identity and websites and social media and communication and marketing plans. And so we are more on the forefront as a cohort of professionals than most people are. Okay, so our sharing on marketing topics makes total sense. And yes, there are 10 zillion marketing professionals, but here's the thing: when you come to a marketing topic and you are sharing your take on it, your point of view, your experience, that's what makes it unique. Yes, there are 10,000 people posting around marketing right now. More than that. And the internet, room is brimming with advice about marketing. But don't let that dissuade you. Bring to it your particular point of view, what it is that you're excited about, what it is that is working for you or working with for your clients. And think about that in terms of having topics or themes around that for content. Another major theme is business development. How do you get clients? This is, as I said, the second most important thing to my email list of people anyway was getting more clients. I bet there's a ton of you in the chat right now who would probably like some information on how to get more clients. And I will be doing a live on that very soon. But business development and how you go about getting clients is a great topic. And people absolutely love, just second to business management and time management techniques, they love hearing about new ideas for getting new clients and more business. So business development is one of those topics which will get you the most attention. As I mentioned before, because I kind of mashed up two slideshows for this live, is trends. Paying attention to what is trending and piggybacking on those trends is a great way to, as I said, be posting on a hot topic. So people are searching for that trend or that particular word or phrase. And so by piggybacking on that and putting out your particular point of view on it, that can, number one, give you ideas for content. Pay attention to what's trending. Think about what you think about it, and then report back on that. It's going to be very topical. Trend changes all the time, so there's always something new to pay attention to and to talk about. And because it's trending, it is a hot topic, and it gets a lot of traffic and a lot of search traffic. So you have a better chance of showing up in someone's feed. 9 is reviews. Reviews is a really great one, and very few people think about this as well in the way of also the way I was talking about reporting, doing a report of a conference or something like that. This is essentially the same thing. Do a review. Review a design book, review a website, review a conference, review an event, digital event, a seminar. If there's some sort of digital product or software as a service that you like, or you're trying to find the answer of, which one to choose and you're weighing 2 or 3 options, do a review of that. Compare and contrast different services and your initial perspective on it, or which one you're thinking about using. Those sorts of YouTube videos anyway, where they're saying, do I use Tribe or do I use Circle for my community? Those sorts of videos get a ton of traffic because if you're struggling with that decision, there's hundreds and thousands of other people out there who are struggling with the same decision. So you're learning as you're trying to come up with the answer for yourself. Capture it, report out on it, because you're going to be helping someone else. And again, it's a trending topic. So you can do reviews of services, software as a service, digital products, other people's websites, marketing campaigns, whatever that is. Do a review of it. But the most important thing that I would say is make sure that you express your point of view. Have a point of view. Take a stand. There's nothing worse than reading some sort of review that doesn't really put a stake in the ground. So, get a backbone, get a perspective, get a point of view, and weigh in on it, because that's what people really want to hear about. Number 10 is inspiration. And this is, what are you inspired by? What are you curious about? This could be something in category, meaning in design or in marketing. It could be something that's completely out of category. Is there something that you're interested in terms of sports, in terms of vacationing, in terms of travel, in terms of reading, in terms of technology, in terms of anything that inspires you, anything that is sparking the creativity or your own thinking? Use that as fodder to create content around. Because if you're curious about it or you're inspired by it, chances are it's going to be inspiring to somebody else. So if you talk about what is it that inspires you about that thing and why is it you're thinking about it and what it has to do and how it affects your life, that's great content. That's really engaging content, and people want to understand and be inspired themselves. People are always looking for inspiration. I know I am. That's what I do all day long. So think about what inspires you and share that. This is another one that not a lot of people think of, and I found that it's really a really great springboard for content, and that is infographics. Go on Pinterest and search for infographics on marketing. You will get hundreds of them, and some of them are really cool looking and have some really great information in them, because it's usually a conglomeration of a whole bunch of data and a whole bunch of listicles and stuff like that. I mean, infographics are a wealth of information to inspire content. I challenge you to read a top 10 list on marketing in an infographic that's full of data, and not have something that you have a point of view on, or that you learned, or that you have a perspective on that's either pro or con that thing. You can also do your take on that infographic. You can say, what are my top 10 marketing things for social media? You can take that and use that as inspiration and as a springboard to your own piece of content. So I find infographics really awesome because they have a lot of best of, worst of, top 10 lists, statistics, data, news, trends. There's all sorts of things that are within infographics that you can use for inspiration for content. And then number 12, finally, this is an easy one, because let's say you were going to interview someone and you ask them a question. You're going to get their point of view. You're going to write it down in your interview for your content, right? Ask a question of an overarching question, and then you answer it. Because by asking that question, you're asking, to a certain extent, the question of the reader, and that is acting as a magnet to them, because they're saying, oh, what's my thought on this question? And then they read your thoughts on the question, and that will give them some reason to comment. It's a great engagement tool for content, is by asking an overarching question and then you're answering it, and then asking for feedback or other points of view in the comments. For instance, and I know I might have shared about this before, but I did this video on are you a multi-creative? It's a very popular video about struggling with being creative on a whole bunch of different fronts and having a hard time deciding. And so when I did that video, I asked people in the video, I said, if you are struggling with being a multi-creative or are a multi-creative, share your story with me in the comments. That comment section is unbelievable. You should go find the video and read some of the comments. It's really an amazing comment section. But I asked the question of people, and I asked for their feedback. I asked them to tell me their story. Same thing with content. Ask a question and ask the reader for feedback on it, because people want to tell their story. They want to give you their opinion on what that thing is, especially after you've kind of fed them with your opinion on it and been transparent and authentic about what you think about it. You're starting a conversation, essentially. So question and answer is another awesome way to develop content. All right, so that is it. And I want to let you know that I'm launching the Brand Design Masters Guild, which is a paid mastermind group that I run, I have one spot left, and it's closing this week and probably going to fill by tomorrow. So if you guys are interested, I've had 3 Brand Design Master Guilds so far. It's a 10-person group where we meet once a week for 12 weeks. And these are just a few of the groups that we've had. And I'm starting guild number 4 next week. And it's a 10-person group, as I said. We have 12 one-hour Zoom calls over 12 weeks. And there are 2 personal hot seats where the whole group focuses their attention on a couple different members every week. People also we do one-on-one calls, so you have a one-on-one meeting with another guild member every week, so you get to meet people and get to know them more deeply. And then all the Zoom calls are recorded. There's a private Facebook group where you can interact with people when we're not meeting on Zoom. And you also get guidance and feedback and coaching and accountability from the group, but also from me. And so the price of the guild is $14.97. And like I said, actually this graphic is wrong. There aren't 2 seats left. There's only 1 seat left, and it's starting next week. So if you're interested and you are completely prepared to make that investment of $14.97 in yourself, go to philipvandusen.com/mastermind, fill out the quick information form there, and then we'll set up a Zoom meeting to talk about it. But it's going to fill in the next 2 days. So if you're going to do it, fill out the form now, but please don't fill out the form if you're not thinking that you're pretty prepared to make that commitment if the guild turns out to be the right fit for you. After you and I have a chance to talk on Zoom, then we'll decide whether the guild would be a good fit for you. But I don't have those Zoom calls unless someone is willing to make the investment if it turns out that they are a great fit. So check out the Brand Design Masters Guild. It's a great opportunity, and I wanted to throw that out there. This is what you'll get when you go to that link, philipvandusen.com/mastermind. You'll get taken to this little quick information form. There's 5 or 6 different screens. So go check that out. All right. So that is it, you guys. That is it. What did I hit? 42 minutes. Joselle's going to be proud of me. My assistant is always telling me I can't do a live in less than an hour. So I think I saw 1 or 2 questions pop in here. So I will try to answer them if they are on topic. So let me just scroll back here really quickly. Not a lot. Just one about Fiverr. And Ahmed, I'm not going to go into questions about Fiverr or Upwork right now. That's also a really, really broad question. I'll do that at another time. If anyone else has a question about developing ideas for content, please pop that in there. I'll stay on just a few more minutes if I see a question come up and try to answer that. But I would love it if you guys pop in here really quickly and let me know if this helped you. Did you feel like you got an idea or 2 or 3 that was helpful that maybe you hadn't thought of in terms of how you could come up with content ideas? I'd really like to know whether this was particularly helpful for you. And if you are developing content, so Kay says truth, and then thank you for your input and advice. Thank you very much. And it's so great to see all you guys. Kay, Kyle, Sasha, Peter, Rick, Ahmed, City Islam, Daniel, Exploding Haggis, David, it's great. Serge, good to see you. And Frank, thanks for coming. 3D Live Design, Kyle, I really appreciate it. This has been super fun. And as I said, I'm going to be trying to go live 3 or 4 times a week for the next 30 days at least. That's the commitment. See, I practice what I preach, right? I said I was going to make a commitment and then stick to it. So I've made a commitment about going live much more regularly over the next month because I took a bit of a pause. Many of you may know, and you may not have seen me posting weekly videos in the last 5 months or so, and that's because I was developing my first course. I launched Brand Strategy 101 as a course and had also delivered it live over 8 weeks. And I'm going to be launching it again next month. So if you're interested in brand strategy, make sure to get on my email list, philipvandusen.com/muse, M-U-S-E. Get on my email list and you'll get the emails about the launch of Brand Strategy 101. It's going to be a killer course. The first one people are raving about, and this one will be even better because I'm altering it and revising it even just a little bit for this time. So you guys watch out for that. And and make sure to subscribe here. Hit subscribe and hit notifications. So when I go live over the next 30 days regularly, you're going to get pinged via email so you can see when I'm going live. Because I'm not giving people a tremendous amount of notice because I'm coming up with the content very quickly. So for the most part, you're only getting like a few hours notice, if that, when I'm going live. So AC Boy 69, Faro, Jay Kareb, Peter, awesome. It's so great to see you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Happy Monday. I hope you have a fantastic week. Please be safe, be healthy, and I hope to see you next time on YouTube here when I pop on live. Okay? So take care, you guys. Have a good one.